An ambush in enemy territory. They must abandon the vehicles. They search for cover in the field. A tattered map is all that could be salvaged to help them navigate. Over the next 4 days, enemy forces will hunt them as they battle their way back to their troops. These are the soldiers of the 6th Reconnaissance Battalion from Eutin. We're here on the Extreme Holstein training exercise. They'll have to fend for themselves with very little food and water. No mobile, no GPS, no cigarettes or medicine. It's a scenario that every scout is trained for, and with good reason.
I actually experienced this during an international deployment. A reconnaissance patrol was under fire and a vehicle broke down, so the comrades had to battle across a few kilometers. It was only 5 kilometers, but it was far enough, as the procedures are always the same.
The first phase begins. They find themselves in enemy territory. To avoid being seen, they camouflage themselves and wait for nightfall. The scouts are divided into 6 troops, each one operating independently from the rest. They set off under cover of darkness. They include reconnaissance patrols, radar troops, and light reconnaissance. What they don't know is that somewhere en route, the enemy is lying in wait. They spent the day setting a trap.
Our mission is to visualize the enemy and neutralize the obstacles that have been set. In this case, an ambush, to provide backup for our comrades, as well as cover fire to neutralize the enemy.
At some point during the night, the first troop encounters the ambush.
The enemy armored carriers drove up to the minefield and then tried to withdraw. We put a vehicle with a heavy machine gun in position to prevent any further withdrawal. We were able to attack the armored carriers from the side that was under fire and force the enemy forces into the cornfield.
Then it's back to battling their own troops. This involves marching at night and hiding during the day. Sometimes it might be 25 kilometers or 40 kilometers. It depends. Occasionally, it might be up to 70 kilometers.
But they don't always move at night. A few teams reach this lake in daylight. Personal equipment stays dry under the tarpaulin and the serape bag. The less clothing gets wet, the better it is for the troops. They've been on the move for several hours now. In the distance, they hear conspicuously loud music. It's the enemy. The team leader must decide how to approach.
As we're almost out of supplies, we will seize this chance to carry out a raid.
Jeder Soldat packt jetzt noch eine Stiege Wasser am langen Arm, wir weichen aus.
Here, the important thing is to recognize these opportunities. You have to make a decision very quickly. That's why the key elements of a raid are first speed and then the force of the attack, so the fire and maneuver element. The comrades still have many kilometers and sleep deprivation, etc. ahead. Sometimes they don't have much food. Their concentration begins to fail, but they must carry on.
They battle through the rest of the day and night. The next day, they encounter an obstacle up ahead. This stage demands a lot of strength and concentration.
Their legs are getting stiff, heavy and tired, which is why the rope crossing is such a challenge. They're a good 16 meters to cross at a height of a little under 6 meters. Their rucksacks are full of provisions, food and ammunition, and the trick is to use your core to stop you from losing balance by leaning to the right or the left. This really saps the last of your energy.
Of course, you practice this beforehand. We've practiced this under ideal conditions, but not when we're tired, hungry and sleep-deprived.
Now they're in completely different physical shape when they tackle the rope crossing.
You've had very little sleep, have already marched a really long way. Everything hurts, your strength and endurance are completely sapped, and you really feel it at this point. So it's certainly challenging, but it's also a lot of fun.
They march north towards the coast. They still have several kilometers ahead of them, as well as unknown tasks. For now, it's all about perseverance. The scouts arrive at the landing point, where the enemy monitors the terrain. They battle towards the water and requisition the Navy. The plan is to use the ribs, the inflatable boats, to reach the ship. They have to be quick. They swim to the inflatable boats under cover of fire and hoist themselves up to meet their naval comrades. They reach the ship under cover of darkness. Now they just need to scale the rope ladder and they will have made it.